school and be a good students and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's part of the journey. But football was in my mind, stick in my mind. You know, try to become a football player, but just enjoy. And then as soon as you grow up, you understand, of course, different things. And then you start dreaming to play the World Cup. So, and then you start to become professional, and every part of your life is based of what you have to do regarding to become a better football player. You need to grow also as a human being. So your life is going to be affected of that. Your friendship is going to be affected, especially in a young age. You need to make some sort of sacrifice, you know, in order to achieve what you want to achieve. And your family members, they need to be with you, supporting you. Sometimes when you lose the games, I'm very, you know, annoying person, so they need to support me. So that journey is a human being journey, not only a footballer journey. And reaching the top, lifting the most important and iconic trophy that the football player can even achieve. It's you know, I say it complete because I don't feel any other words more than that. And of course, there's joy. There's you think about what happened in your career and all the bad things that happen, all the good things that happen. But that is an explosion of everything inside you, and that's the beauty of that.
Alessandro, you were talking about having the passion for football as a young boy, but who inspired you when you were watching the FIFA World Cups as you were growing up?
Well, I was looking, we didn't have at that time so many media, you know, so especially videos, so we have a few things that happened during the week. And, but when I grew up, of course, when I was 8, Italy became a world champion in 1982. Yes. So that was actually my first World Cup, watching my first World Cup with family members. You know, in Italy we have a carry on together, families, friends, you know, 50, 60 people in the same room watching the game. And I didn't quite understand what's going on. I felt that was important. Then as soon as we reached, you know, quarterfinal, semi-final, I understand even more and more. And then we reached the final and we won. And I say, we went on the streets, we celebrate with the flags. My mom helped me to make homemade flags, so with the green, white, and of course red color. And I went on the bush, where I'm living outside, you know, in the countryside. So I went on the bush to find the right bamboo in order to put the flags on. So that's the kind of thing that I was growing up. And that's, yeah, that's probably, you know, my first memory of the World Cup was an amazing one. Then the next one and the following one are quite different, but the first one we won. I mean, what better start than that?
Alessandro, thank you so much. Okay. And Arsene, when you hear what Alessandro has to say, it's clear that the Football World Cup is not just a football tournament.
Yeah, it's much more.
Yeah.
You just explained that. I think he played at Juventus. When he played at Juventus, all the people from Inter Milan or AC Milan hated him. But suddenly, when you play for your country, everybody's behind you. Yes. And loves you and pushes for you. So it's the unusual thing in that, you know. Yeah, yeah. And so I would say you suddenly became... I liked the way he explained it. It's quite simple. He grew up loving the game, and suddenly he's at world stage and plays football just because he loved the game and was talented. But suddenly you represent the pride of your country. But as well, you're under stress because you have as well the fear to lose and to disappoint your country and to potentially humiliate your country. You know, so it is, you need that strength to manage that sudden responsibility to carry the pride of a whole country on your shoulders. And usually in the national teams, you need players who can absorb that pressure and can carry it. And most of the time, it is the big players who represent their generation.
Well, Arsene, what's interesting, 2026, it'll be the first time that there'll be 48 teams. How key is it, do you think, for the young players to see the world's best players in action, to inspire them to develop their own game, or maybe even just to start to play?
Well, our president explained that 100 years ago, you know, you had 13 teams playing in the first World Cup. And it shows, for me, it shows football development. I'm now in football development, and I realize how big football has become in the world when you speak about the number of tickets people want. You cannot imagine, I travel all over the world, everywhere, football has become the most important thing people talk about. Yeah. And so to me, for a long time, it was a confidential competition between Europe and South America. We had to open it to the world, yeah. You know, and I think it's a minimum we could do is to open to more African countries, more Asian countries, because you want football to be strong everywhere. And now, if you project yourself in 100 years, you would think it's everybody should be in a position to potentially win the World Cup. And that's why I believe this was a very important step to move from 32 to 48. And I'm keen to see what will happen, but the World Cup, for me, I love it always in the first 2 weeks, because everybody, the whole world is there, proud to represent their country, but as well there's a feeling that we are all together. So many countries are together, they meet each other in the street. It's really a little bit more celebration than competition in the first part of a competition. And that is absolutely amazing to see.
Arsene, what do you think it is about football that unites countries, unites people, and cuts through everything?
Well, overall, the fact that everybody loves to win in life. I've not met many people who love to lose, and to win together makes the countries proud of being together, because when I told you, you represent the values of your country and the strengths of your country, the determination of your country, and as well the unity of your country, because you play together. And I must say, if we talk about it later, this World Cup will be more than ever a mental test for the teams.
Why do you say that?
Because like Gianni explained, that you have 104 games. And as well, when you come out of a group stage, we have 4 knockout games before you go to the final. That means the stamina, the mental stamina you need to win 4 times in a direct knockout and stay 1 more week together and then win the final will be a real mental test, more than everybody can imagine, because this is really tough, you know. And on that front, I'm convinced that you will have 2 characteristics in this World Cup, is how the coaches, the staff around the team will prepare the team mentally to stay together for such a long time and motivated. But as well, on the technical front, I imagine that you cannot win 4 knockout games without going through a penalty shootout. So at least once certainly will be confronted with that. So that will be the mental factor as well, technically, will be very important.
As one of the best coaches in history, what would your advice be?
My advice, first of all, I've never managed a national team, so I'm not a big specialist of that. But it is to have a good communication, to maybe, I feel at the top level competition, it's always very important to alternate high level of concentration with relaxation. Yeah. And to find that balance in a long period will be very important for the coaches, for example. Bring the families in at some stage, yes. Get them out again, and alternate well, mix well the high period of concentration with a good period of relaxation.
Alessandro, what helped you, do you think, in preparation for such pressurized games?
Well, I mean, Arsene explained a lot of things that, happen not only as a coach side, but also as a footballer side. Concentration, of course. But the journey in order to arrive to the game and to prepare a World Cup, it's a long one. I really love. I remember one of the first things that Lippi told us. The first time that he got in charge was 2 years before. So we prepared the qualification. So we say, this is where our World Cups start. So, and you feel that growing, during the qualification, during that year, and then you reach finally the thing. So you need to be able to set up everything in that way. Everyone is different than each other, Someone needs family support, someone needs to be about themselves, someone need to listen rock music, some other, lyrics. Important thing is what Arsene say, that is one of the most important thing for me is the word balance. Because we are playing team sports, so you need to balance your effort with the effort of your teammates. You need to put that effort in the same way. You need to balance the time that you dedicate to yourself. You cannot be so much selfish, but to be selfish is good because you pretend more from yourself. So balance your ego is very important, and we could go on and on.
Yes.
But then you are in a team sport, so the balance that happens in the team sports in terms of chemistry, in terms of health, in terms of be good in penalties, what you need. You need to be strong when you have to defense and understand that it's a moment that the other one is better than you, and you need to take responsibility and step up when some moment during the game or during the preparation as well. Happen so many things on the locker room and on the training ground that need to be settled down in the proper way. And sometimes you need only to let them go and see. We call fate. It's not a real fate at the end. It's the way that we settle things before, and then they dive in where you want. And of course, you need some magic. You need to trust. You need to have hope. You need to think about things. You need to pray, if you want to pray. There's many ways. I mean, I give you a small example how, and this we connect with football as well. One of my last experience was in India. I played for 3 months, and the team was creating in a very particular way. So we have Indian guys, half of the team, and then we have foreign guys. We have on that team we have 12 different country guys. I mean, country guy is not the right thing. I mean, Italians, Serbian, and all the parts of the world. Yes. So 12 different, with 5 different religions. So before the game, the first game, I saw a lot of games. I played 700 games. I won the World Cup. I saw everything, And then at some point before the game, 5 minutes before, I saw these guys, everybody were concentrating in their own, with their God, with their rituals, with their culture. And that was, I stopped for a minute and I say, wow, that's beautiful. That's how team sports, and specific football, how they put people together. And we were in the same team. And then we end up outside to play the game to win together. So that balance, it can happen, in different ways and in different vibes. So it's, for me, it's like this.
And Alessandro, I'm sure that you hope Italy will be at the World Cup. What can you tell us about the benefits for some of the younger players, for their development, to be part of such a tournament? Because it is, as you say, such a special experience.
Exactly, special experience, and you need to go with open eyes and ready to listen, and to with a humble and understand what's going on, because every experience is so important. And we also, and I'm dealing also with youngest, probably coach here can say the same, now we have become more and more worried about mistakes and how I look in front of the people with the social media, with other stuff, or I need to be looking good, okay, I need to be happy, I need to be there, that's true. I did it sometimes, most of the time. So I did it as well, you have that mentality. Everything brought you there.
Yes.
But as a young player, you need to understand that making mistakes is also good. And you are able, and you need to make mistakes in order to grow up. You need to lose game in order to win games. Sometimes when hit you the most is the one that make you grow. And you learn much more from defeats than from wins. And that's a part of the answer that I want to give you is that one, especially for youngest one, because they're going to face something huge that they cannot imagine, like I did, So it's the experience with the fans, with the travels, with the organization. It's a super high level and demanding. So that's why it's very important to have a good coach, a good organization, and good people ready to listen and to learn. That's my advice.
Thank you, Alessandro. Arsene, how do players develop and benefit from playing on the world stage, but not only in relation to the World Cup, but also to FIFA's entire tournament history, do you think?
Well, you need role models,
yes.
And for young players, it's very important to have role models. But the coach has a part to play by identifying. When I saw a young player, I looked, how does he look like? What are his qualities? Is he looking like Del Piero? Then I would tell him, look at Del Piero. He's a player, you have similar qualities. And the advantage of a role model is they continue to practice when they're out of a training session. Because they play alone, and they look at the players who have similar qualities, and they develop by watching them. So when you watch a World Cup, of course, they look at the players, I would like to look like him. And so the advice you could sometimes give to a player, no, that's not you. Look rather at him. He can help you to become, to develop your qualities. And I liked what Alessandro said. In competitive sport, the fear is the mother of all evil. And especially at the young stage, because football has become so important, at the young coaches, I always tell them, get the young players, get them rid of the fear to try. Because the mistake is educational. You learn from your mistake. And you have to develop the players by encouraging them to make decisions. Because at the end of the day, education is to educate the judgment of the player. And he gets that only if he can take initiatives. Because we know today that the top-level player is somebody who can process multiple information at a high speed, but as well somebody who has a great memory. If I ask him, do you remember the goal you scored 20 years ago against Milan? He will tell you, yes, I did this and that and that. And so he
look at his smile there.
He smiles because he knows.
Don't ask me too much specific, okay?
Yeah. Which one? He said so.
I'm getting old as well.
So the memory. Why have they a memory? Because they learn from the situation they faced, and they think, I lost the ball in this situation. When they meet this situation again, they give the right answer. That's why it's so important to educate the judgment of the young players.
Arsene, can I also ask you, you've put in place the FIFA Talent Development Scheme that we mentioned before by Gianni, which is a massive investment in the future of football and as one of the programs that benefits FIFA, ploughing the vast majority of revenue made by the FIFA World Cup back into the world game. As the man leading this extraordinary and exciting project, please, can you tell us more about it?
Well, I'm quite happy that you asked that question, first of all, because I'm in the middle of a huge investment that FIFA has made. And FIFA, for me, before I came to FIFA, I didn't know what are they doing with the money, where does the money go. But I know today that the money goes, FIFA looks always guilty to make money, but all the money goes to the federations to develop their infrastructures. And because I travel a lot today, you should see how much every federation has developed because of the funds that they get available from FIFA. You know. I worked with a guy, when he worked, he went to the federations, collect money to be part of FIFA. Today, FIFA distributes a lot of the money. And part of it goes to education. Why did we do that? When I analyzed football in the world, I realized that most of the talent in the world don't get a chance to play. And that, the second thing, is that the countries who are the 20 best rated countries in world football are the countries who have a better level of education. It was a huge correlation between the quality of education and the ranking at the senior level. And I just come back, because I see Patrice Motsepe here, who suffered a little bit in the final, but I just come back from the African Nations Cup. The final was Morocco against Senegal.
Yes.
But there are two of the countries who worked the best at youth level. And they started that a few years ago. The coincidence, it was not a coincidence that these two teams were in the final, because we know that the level of education at youth level is the most important to be successful at senior level.
Yes. Just one final question before I invite Mr. Infantino to come back up on stage for a final message. I just want to ask you first, Alessandro, what are you most looking forward to seeing at the FIFA World Cup 2026?
Joy. Joy for sure, if I have to pick a word in the specific moment that we are living now, with a lot of problems that happen everywhere, about wars, about, bad news that we hear every day more and more. What football can bring is definitely joy. We are, as we said before, under the same rules. The field is the same one for everybody. And the moment that Arsene explained very well, the first 2 weeks of the World Cup is the most beautiful moment that we can live during the World Cup, because everybody's happy to be there. When you are young kids, you dream to play the World Cup. So when you reach that dream, playing the World Cup, you are super happy. Then competition starts and other things start as well. But that moment it's a pure joy, and we need that joy, the love for the game, the love to be together, and the joy to be together, the mix of culture and the beauty of compare yourself with the other ones, and sometimes win, sometimes lose, maybe better win, definitely, for many reasons, but that journey is have to be like this and create great memories. We play in 3 different countries. So we embrace, really, with this message, FIFA embraced the world with 48 countries on the World Cup for the first time. So it's bigger and bigger, and that's, a world joy. That's the one of the meaning of this World Cup for sure.
Thank you, Alessandro. And Arsene, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, the quality of the games, and with an unknown quantity, because we have moved from 32 to 48. I feel always it's very important for the teams to find a good balance from the start of a competition, and to have a harmony, like he talked about. Harmony is to put different pieces together, and that the vibes coming out look harmonious. That everybody meets his needs in the team, and the teams who can do that early have a good chance to win the competition. And the second thing for me is the unknown countries who have not been at the World Cup until now, because we have a few, to see how well they can compete against the top teams. And that is, of course, I'm very curious about it. And we just come out this year, we have created the Under-17 World Cup every year with 48 teams, and we have seen that the smaller countries, there was very little difference. So I'm quite confident that there can be some surprises.
Well, we'll look forward to those surprises, I'm sure all of us. If I can just invite President Infantino to come back up on stage to stand up with all of us. I'd like everyone to, a round of applause. President Infantino, Alessandro Di Piero, Arsene Wenger, and all together. Thank you so much to everybody. Oh, oh my, oh, he can touch it. He's allowed to.
Yes.
Thank you.
That was created by these political powers because of the mistakes that they made in the past. But Latin America was not necessarily included in that. So, could the answer to the situation be for these friends of Trump, these Latin American presidents, to participate in these conversations of stabilizing Venezuela?
Okay. Got the question, a very important one. Regionalize it, but regionalize it around people who Trump might trust. The question here. And I think it's better to group them because we're going to run out of time, and there was a question here as well.
Thank you.
Well, there may not be enough, which that's my worry.
Okay, thank you. And I'm from Shanghai Media Group, and my question actually is about the Venezuela's economy. I think Mr. Hausman just published an article in FT talking about the America is destroying the Venezuela's economy. So could you briefly introduce how does that happen and the economic prospects in Venezuela? And do you think the Americans' approach in Venezuela is a kind of the hegemony, and how does that may impact the international order? Thank you.
Okay, and question here, please. Yeah, should be on. Yes, on.
Thank you. Rather than a question, allow me to put forward a scenario for the discussion.
Yeah.
The discussion has been how to rebuild a country. Proposal. Imagine Venezuela stop being a country and becoming the state 51 of the United States. Written on the wall. We heard from President Trump today that Greenland, to your point, once was ours. And some stupid person made the mistake of giving it back, right? So now the oil is ours. What is behind this is the oil. Now it's ours. Will they take, Trump or anybody else, take the chances of putting a local government with all the legitimities that we are discussing and assuming that that same government and the people will accept to become a marionette for generations? Sorry. So that's the point, whether you would revise.
It's a scenario, and I think it'll be, I call it a provocation as well as a scenario, but it's a good one. A protectorate might be a different type of thing. People have talked about all sorts of things in the Greenland case, compacts of free association. In any case, there could be some model around there, so that Ricardo has a chance to kind of put out his key points. I'm going to move this way, and then you're going to, you're going to bring it all together. Jeff, last thoughts, pick up any of these questions, but otherwise your last thought, we've literally only got 5 minutes, about the prospects for what next in Venezuela. What would be next?
I think that one thing to keep in mind in response to some things that have been said is, yes, oil is important to the United States, the current administration, but this is not just about oil. This intervention would not have taken place without oil, but it also would not have taken place without geography. Yep. Because the administration is focused very heavily on what they call hemispheric defense, on hardening a sphere of influence in the Western Hemisphere, for which Venezuela is crucially important. So I think that allows us to double down on the administration's goals in Venezuela, and makes oil a part of a broader agenda within the region.
So flip it in a way, yes. You know, lean in potentially with the administration on the hemispheric element, because that may make them think more constructively about it.
Absolutely, yes.
What do you think, Nari? Last thought on
I
any
agree
of
with
these
Jeff.
questions?
What the rest of the world can do: relax sanctions, give access to markets, stop enriching the 38 thieves, and do something on debt relief. Make it possible for a new government to actually move and dream of what they can do. You know, you could do just a small percentage of the deal that Argentina just got from the US and then from the IMF, and you'd get some way towards helping create conditions in Venezuela.
Jason, last thought?
Yeah, I'm not sure the American people would be excited about Venezuela as the 51st state, and if Trump is deeply concerned about affordability and GDP growth, I don't know if he would want that either. In terms of the resource wealth, but just put it in context, the U.S. produces 14 million barrels a day of crude oil and more than 20 million barrels a day of total liquid. So we're talking about a country that's going from a little less than a million to a little more than a million. The resource wealth is super important to Venezuela, but just put it in the context of the overall dominant position the U.S. has as by far the world's largest oil producer today and a net exporter already.
Thank you. Ricardo.
So I think, number one, what justified the intervention is the fact that you cannot have a rogue government creating so many negative externalities in terms of not only drug trafficking, but 8 million refugees that the rest of the region has had to absorb. 2.8 million people in Colombia. It's been an enormous political stress. It has impacted the politics of every one of those countries. And the international community did not have an instrument to do something. Now, this happened in the past. It happened in Panama. You had Noriega in Panama. In May 1989, there were elections in Panama. They were won by Guillermo Endara. Noriega decided not to give power. He kept on his kleptocratic drug trafficking. The Americans invaded, and they put Endara in power. Now, that is an interesting precedent in a country that has less of a democratic history than Venezuela has. Now, that's why I don't think that Iraq is a good metaphor, because Iraq didn't go through the political process of unification that Venezuela has gone through, given our democratic traditions and our ability to get the vote out everywhere in the country. But where Iraq is an interesting precedent is for debt restructuring. Because when the Americans got to manage Iraq, they said, we need debt restructuring. It's 10 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
So let's take a lesson from Iraq, 10 cents on the dollar. Now, there is a difference between being a protectorate and being the 51st state.
Exactly.
If you are the 51st state, you have the constitutional rights granted by the American Constitution. Venezuelans have no rights. There's no one protecting Venezuelan rights, and that is the cause of the collapse, that there are no rights. So I would put it to you that the Venezuela situation is easier than it looks. It is not, the fear of an Iraq is not there. The fear of an Iraq is not there because you have a society that everywhere in every single municipality is organized politically. If you just leave them be, give them their freedoms back, it's not going to explode. It's these. By the way, if you don't want to disband the army, you want to keep the army, you want to keep their salaries, you want to keep their pensions. You just have to get the leadership out, right? And so it's not negotiating with the leadership, it's taking them out so that, and I would even say, let them organize a democratic transition. What does that mean? We need an electoral council, right? We need to allow people to register. That takes time. If you want to have elections in 6 months, it may be too soon, 6 months, that takes time. So the negotiation should be, Trump says that they're doing everything we ask them. Well, they're not liberating the political prisoners. And they're not liberating the political prisoners while they have the Gerald Ford aircraft carrier in front. And they're not going to keep it there forever. So Diosdado Cabello, who's kind of like the head of the cartel, right? Diosdado Cabello knows that his best strategy is to wait the U.S. out. To wait the U.S. out, to use this period to gain financial resources and strength and so on, and to wait the U.S. out. So if they cannot make them, with that financial control, to liberate the political prisoners, is because they're asking about oil concessions and stuff like that, and not asking about basic rights, not even a basic rights. So I would put it to you, the agenda forward is free the political prisoners, allow people to return, have an electoral timetable that will give people the sense that it's still before the democratic transition, because the elections have not yet happened, but it's time to go back.
So,
and if we go back, things will boom.
Ricardo, thank you, very clear. So, what we're hearing here, just to wrap it up, and this is a very difficult panel because of the topic, as we all know. We've, I think, done a fantastic job, each taking a piece of the situation, and I think coming up with a focused answer. Focus on is literally reverse the Marco Rubio phases. Focus on the transition, not immediately, but plan it out with all the lessons that have been learned before. Then think about the recovery, then think you'll get stabilization. They've got it the wrong way round, do it that way round, and we could succeed. Thank you very much for being here.
Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you to the members of the media who are joining us here in Davos and online. My name is Chido Munyati. I'm the Director for Africa at the World Economic Forum and a member of our Executive Committee. It is a pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference. We are joined by a distinguished panel of ministers from the Government of the Republic of South Africa. First, I'd like to introduce to my left the Honorable Minister of Finance for South Africa, His Excellency Enoch Gondongwana. Next, I would like to introduce the Minister of Tourism for South Africa, Honorable Minister Patricia de Lille. And next to her, I would like to introduce the Honorable Minister for International Relations and Cooperation for South Africa, Honorable Minister Ronald Lamola. And then finally, I would like to introduce the Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry and Competition for South Africa, Honorable Minister Parks Tau. Thank you, ministers, for joining us. Today's press conference focuses on how South Africa is building on the momentum of its historic G20 presidency last year, and how global dialogue is being translated into practical collaboration, sustained partnerships, and long-term impact. South Africa's G20 presidency played a significant role in elevating Africa's engagement in the global economic discussions and reinforcing the continent's position as an active and constructive partner in addressing shared global challenges. As the global context becomes more complex, there is a growing opportunity to build on the outcomes of the annual summits through platforms that deepen engagement, support sustained dialogue, cooperation, and partnerships between governments, businesses, and civil society. Against this backdrop, the World Economic Forum is proud to announce, in partnership with the government of South Africa, that South Africa will host a spring Davos in South Africa in 2027, bringing the forum's global convening platform to the African continent, similar to the forum's upcoming global summit taking place in Jeddah this year in April. This global summit for South Africa will create a space for leaders to align on priorities, to explore investment opportunities, and strengthen collaboration across regions, with a particular focus on growth, resilience, and long-term economic opportunity. With that, I am pleased to invite the Minister of Finance for South Africa, Honorable Gondongwana, to share his perspective. Honorable Minister, thank you for joining us. Could you please highlight the overall success of South Africa's G20 presidency, particularly with a focus on the finance track?
Do I have to press anything, or is this?
No, it's on.
It's fine. Okay. No, I think, thank you very much, and the members of the media. I think we set ourselves an ambitious targets for the finance track. And we're proud to say we, in fact, in certain areas exceeded our targets. Key issues which we had a focus on the African continent as for starters to achieve growth, and looked at the critical impediments to that growth. And the international organizations and the finance track members supported such an agenda which focused on 4 key areas. One was macroeconomic vulnerability, weak economic institutions, lack of infrastructure, and high cost of capital. The G20 finance ministers launched the G20 Finance Track Africa Engagement Framework for 25 to 2030 at their October meeting to support the African continent and its member countries in achieving their economic, financial, and related objectives. We acknowledge the multi-year framework as an opportunity for enhancing collaboration between the G20 and Africa and a lasting legacy of South Africa's presidency. This framework provides unique opportunity to unlock Africa's regional economic benefits. The major achievement has been the endorsement of the G20 Ministerial Declaration on Debt Sustainability, which commits to supporting efforts by low and middle-income countries to address debt vulnerabilities, many of which are on the African continent. This declaration is significant because it outlines key actions and commitment to support sustainable debt levels for low and middle-income countries. South Africa's presidency continued the G20's original mandate to promote strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. The G20 endorsed the following reports. A, risk to the global economy policy adjustment and enhanced cooperation. B, macroeconomic policies and structural reforms for stronger, sustainable economic growth in the context of risk from severe weather and natural disasters. During South Africa's G20 presidency, there was also a focus on increasing quality infrastructure investment to support faster economic growth, sustainable development. G20 endorsed the following reports: Framework for Effective Planning and Preparatory Practices, Report on Blended Finance De-risking Measures, the Cross-Border Infrastructure Toolkit. These provide practical solutions to developing a credible pipeline of projects.